case because there's lots of hormonal remedies. I could have given pulsatilla, lachesis. These are all very hormonal remedies. But what made it a sepia case was the way she described her pains was really particular to this remedy. So each remedy will have different kind of pains, like stinging or stitching or pushing. Hers would feel like it was going to fall out, like pushing down, which is unusual for someone to come in and say that. And she also had dreams of water, and I don't have the case in front of me, but I'm just telling you things that I do remember. And the idea that she needed her family in the other room. Other remedies.
So sepia have all those descriptions.
Right.
That's nice.
And they kind of weep when they're telling you their symptoms. They get very caught up and they feel overworked by their family. They're very like working for their family, and then they need to just go like, oh, I feel like I'm just working for my family and I'm totally exhausted. And this was kind of her story, like working, and then on top of that, the other symptoms that I mentioned. So to me, it was a perfect picture for sepia, so I gave it, and it worked fantastic.
So you gave that remedy, she took it, now she's back normal, and you haven't seen her for quite some time. What happens to her after that? What do you think?
Well,
Did you had cases they came back after that, and then again the same remedy, or changed?
No, usually they come back, and I'll say, gosh, I haven't seen you in 3 years. And they'll say, I know, because I was better, I didn't need to come. But now I'm coming because I got sick in November, and I have this cough. It's usually something completely different.
I see.
Usually when that's taken care of, either maybe she continued to take that, but I don't think so, because the last time she came to me, she said, I'm good. And I said, well, then only take your remedy if you felt the symptoms again, and if you don't, then just come see me when you need to. So she was quite a healthy young person other than this thing. I couldn't really find an etiology because it wasn't so obvious. Maybe there was, but in every case you can't find any etiology because you only can get what the patient tells you.
Exactly.
So sometimes you just have to use family history, the personality, and the symptoms of their case. But if you can get an etiology, I like to pay attention to it. It's not always everything, but it's usually at some point in their healing it will be important, especially in autoimmune diseases or something bad.
It comes to my mind now. I took this tiny little round pieces given from German homeopath way back when, before I moved to the US. And pellets, pellets, I forgot that. And he was working on me because I was in divorce, and then I had all these symptoms, itching all my body. It's very interesting stuff, and it helped. And then he says, be careful, and that's my major idea now. Be careful, don't take more. Don't take more often. Take exactly what I tell you, because then it can be worse. So what is that about? Too much energy put in that?
You can, and even though homeopathy is very safe, you can use it on old people, on pregnant moms, on infants, on sick people, pets, anybody. But we only can buy at the store lower potencies for that reason, because they don't allow the public to buy high potency remedies, because if you took a high potency remedy, you could produce an aggravation. So So probably he was giving you a high potency and he wanted you to be very cautious with that. But a homeopathic aggravation is your own symptoms getting worse. If you take a remedy and you get other symptoms that you never had before, you're doing what we call approving of the remedy, which means you're taking on symptoms of the remedy that aren't your symptoms. So if I have, elbow pain and headaches, and I take a remedy and my elbow pain and headaches get worse, then I'm having an aggravation. But if I take the remedy and I get a stomach ache and I never had a stomach ache before, that's probably the remedy and it's not the right remedy.
I see.
See what I mean? So that's why people say that an aggravation can be a good thing, because it gives the homeopath a kind of clue that it's touching you in some way. But Hahnemann found in the last years of his life that he recommended we don't aggravate too much, to try to use the really minimal dose, and so the slightest dose to help healing. So homeopathy, the remedies have to be diluted and potentized, and we have to give really the minimum dose, and like needs to cure like.
So it stayed the same, and going to the Italian homeopath to study by him, originally the Hahnemann homeopathy, the idea what he developed, that stayed the same. it's nothing changed much.
You know, there's a few different schools that are not schools, but ways of thinking that are kind of expanding. I like to think of it more expanding because we need to grow. It's been a long time since Hyman was here, but I have a problem when students go to school and they lose sight of our really basic fundamentals of homeopathy. We need to learn the organon. We need to know our repertory. We need to know materia medica. You need to know the basics, and you need to understand homeopathy as Hahnemann taught us. And from there, then you've kind of earned the right to go out and expand and create some new possible ideas. And Massimo has certainly done that, and some other big teachers. And I was just at a seminar this weekend with Lou Klein, and he's one of those kind of leading in the forefront also. So I believe that if you give up studying and learning in homeopathy, and likely in any field, but in homeopathy there's so many remedies, and there's new ones being proven every day, that the moment we stop studying, we're so limited on healing people, because we need to have a huge, vast pharmacy to choose from, and right now we have almost 10,000 remedies, so it's growing and growing. It's crazy. Yeah.
And I remember also, I recall that this homeopath in Germany asked me, what are your favorite foods? And then I listed them, and mushroom was one of those. And then he says, oh, we don't have that remedy yet. Do you have already?
Yeah, we have now. I did recently this year a seminar on fungi, which is mushroom, and we learned all different. So yeah, there's a few mushroom ones now, and we're growing every day.
And what is the importance? I love to eat mushrooms, or I love to eat pepper seed or something. Is that my remedy then?
Sometimes, but I would never prescribe on someone just saying that. It would have to have everything else, the mental side of it. If the person has some dreams can be important because it's coming from an unconscious place. So, but a lot of people say, I don't remember my dreams. But what's important is that if someone says, I hate onions and I love, cheese or garlic or whatever, and then, but it's, you just add it to the pile. You shouldn't prescribe really to me, I call those conformational symptoms. So once I get a feel for who the person is, and I get a feel for their pathology, and I look at their family history, then all those kinds of questions that are a little bit more superficial, are you hot, are you cold, are you open or closed, those are all just conformational symptoms for me. So then when I look at the remedy, I say, oh great, happens to like cheese too, good. But if it didn't have that in there, I would not give it to the patient, because the remedies are being discovered so fast right now that we're not getting all the symptoms into our books fast enough. Wow. So it's going to take time. So part of it is staying up on top of new information and learning the remedies and trying to understand them. I like to feel like I know the remedy almost as if it were a person. Because the remedy, once you kind of, it's like if you were into astrology and you know the signs. You know when you say Gemini or Libra or Pisces, right? You know what they would be like. It's kind of like that with a remedy. If I know that this remedy has this kind of headache, this kind of vertigo, this kind of pains, this kind of temperature, this kind of personality, this kind of pathology is possible, then when someone sits there and tells me I'm like this and I'm like this, and then I start getting all these ideas, well that's like this remedy. And the way we're learning today is we're trying to learn in families of remedies. So I could say that feels like a sea animal, because sea animals, they worry about their security, they need a home, they need a job, and they talk about like how nervous they are if they're going to lose their job, or they need a partner, and they need everything to feel secure, right? So when someone comes to you complaining about maybe all the time feeling insecure, then I would think in my head this could be maybe a sea animal. See, that's more how we go. So, Mattie, I just want to say, if you go onto the internet and you look on Google and you put homeopathy in there, you can learn a lot of information about it.
Thank you so much to watching the show today, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Mattie. As always, my pleasure.